When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. I do think there is a lot of potential if you have a compelling product and people are willing to pay a premium for that. I think that is what Apple has shown. You can buy a much cheaper cell phone or laptop, but Apple's product is so much better than the alternative, and people are willing to pay that premium. What makes innovative thinking happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide. A company is a group organized to create a product or service, and it is only as good as its people and how excited they are about creating. I do want to recognize a ton of super talented people. I just happen to be the face of the companies. A company is a group organized to create a product or service, and it is only as good as its people and how excited they are about creating. I do want to recognize a ton of super talented people. I just happen to be the face of the companies. I've actually not read any books on time management. I would just question things. It would infuriate my parents. That I wouldn't just believe them when they said something because I'd ask them why. And then I'd consider whether that response made sense given everything else I knew. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. The first step is to establish that something is possible, then probability will occur. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah, what's wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. I wouldn't say I have a lack of fear. In fact, I'd like my fear emotion to be less because it's very distracting and fries my nervous system. If something has to be designed and invented, and you have to figure out how to ensure that the value of the thing you create is greater than the cost of the inputs, then that is probably my core skill. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things, I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. As much as possible, avoid hiring MBAs. MBA programs don't teach people how to create companies. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy. I'm interested in things that change the world or that affect the future and wondrous, new technology where you see it, and you're like, wow, how did that even happen? How is that possible? It's very important to like the people you work with, otherwise life, and your job is gonna be quite miserable. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. There are really two things that have to occur in order for a new technology to be affordable to the mass market. One is you need economies of scale. The other is you need to iterate on the design. You need to go through a few versions. When somebody has a breakthrough innovation, it is rarely one little thing. Very rarely is it one little thing. It's usually a whole bunch of things that collectively amount to a huge innovation. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. I always have optimism, but I'm realistic. It was not with the expectation of great success that I started Tesla or SpaceX. It's just that I thought they were important enough to do anyway.